When we think of the island of Sodor, we normally think of a happy, vibrant island where it's unthinkable to possibly consider the concept of tragedy. Well, unfortunately, this is not always the case. The year was 1939. The North Western Railway was struggling greatly for motive power and so had hired many locomotives from the nearby London and North Eastern Railway. As of the start of 1939, the list of locomotives on the railway was as followed: Thomas, Edward, Henry, Gordon, James, Percy, Eagle, 98462, 87546, Charlie and John, all owned by the railway itself, with 1020, a J15, Alfred, a B12, Geoffrey an O4 and Dudley an O2, all hired in from the LNER. For the most part, the engines all got along, or tried to at least. Suffice to say, arguments were very frequent when certain engines were in each other's vicinity. The big ringleaders were Alfred, 98462, 87546 and Dudley. The four would butt heads at almost every occasion. The two LNER engines were very proud of their heritage and would look down on the two experimental engines. Alfred, more so than Dudley, would often pick the arguments with NWR engines who had no relation to the LNER, particularly James. The two had a rivalry almost as fiery as the NWR No. 5's paintwork, and it kept many of the others up at night. One morning during March 1939, the Fat Controller arrived at Knapford's roundhouse to find Edward, Henry, Gordon, James and Alfred all waiting.
Good morning, entrants. I trust you slept well?
About as well as we could, sir, all things considered.
Edward looked in the direction of James and Alfred, both looking away from each other indignantly.
I see, James. Alfred, what do you have to say for yourselves?
I don't need to apologise for anything, sir, James scoffed brashly.
Now, James.
Sir, I hope you're going to keep him in line. He is incessant, shall we say? Alfred cut in sharply. Neither the Fat Controller or James were amused by the smarmy tone Alfred spoke with. The other three engines in the shed looked at each other grimly.
I would appreciate less of the sarcasm, Alfred. You both need to stop rising up to arguments and taking the bait. Just be the bigger engines. Whilst you're on this railway, you aren't your previous railways. You are Sodorian.
Neither James or Alfred spoke. No clever remarks or even a provocative facial expression. There was total silence until Edward spoke up.
Well said, sir. But what is the nature of this visit? Surely you must be very busy.
Well, Edward, you aren't entirely wrong. With the ongoing tension overseas, we as a nation will be supplying Poland with arms and munitions as part of a treaty signed by our Prime Minister. Sodor has been assigned as one of the main exporters of munitions and explosives.
Everyone looked grimly in unison at each other. The prospect of more work at a time the railway was already under great stress sounded daunting to say the least. Sir, how are we going to cope with the extra workload? We are quite stretched out in terms of motive power as it is, said Henry, seemingly reading the thoughts of everyone else.
Well, Henry, as a national matter, these trains have been decided to take precedence over other non-essential goods. Also, I have made the decision to move Charlie from the Brendan branch to Knapford as a dedicated pilot for the harbour so Percy can focus solely on the station. However, I still expect you all to chip in when and if you are expected to.
The Fat Controller finished, looking dead straight at Gordon, who rolled his eyes in an unamused fashion.
Well, I have no idea what you mean, sir. I always do my work, no matter the hardship.
And pigs might fly, Gordon. Don't get our hopes up. All of the engines chuckled apart from Gordon. Even the Fat Controller had to fight for a moment to keep his composure. He snuck away amidst the laughter as he had another stop to make. Meanwhile, at the sheds on the other side of Knapford, everyone was stirring as their fires warmed through their boiler tubes and a steady black haze emitted from their chimneys.
I hear Sir Topham has an announcement to make,
said Geoffrey as his driver walked around putting a lamp on his front bracket.
Well, it's no secret there's tension across Europe. Germany has already invaded Czechoslovakia, and our greatest nation has declared Poland an ally. I wager this announcement is for some kind of rearmament scheme over there,
replied Geoffrey.
Very intuitive, Dudley.
All of the engines jumped.
Bloody hell, sir! Where did you come from?
Asked an alarmed 98462.
Well, 98462, I woke up, ate breakfast, drove to the roundhouse, addressed the engines at the roundhouse, drove over here, and here we are.
All of the engines chuckled.
Anyway, Dudley is absolutely spot on. As I said to the engines at the roundhouse, we are indeed aiding in a program to strengthen Poland amidst the tension since Germany invaded Czechoslovakia. And also, like I said just now, I expect you all to pull your weight without squabbling.
The Fat Controller finished, staring down Dudley, Geoffrey, 98462 and 87546. They didn't say anything but knew better than to mess with the Fat Controller.